Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 51 of 2026. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on X at OBKiev. Follow us at the Oddsbreakers. Follow us on social media / the Oddsbreakers. This episode is being brought to you by FanDuel Sports, a proud partner with the NFL. If you'd like to support the Oddsbreakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, and become a member. Beginning of winning cappers to get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. If nothing else, please visit the Oddsbreakers and become a free Picks and Telegram subscriber. And anybody that supports us on Patreon gets this podcast free of commercials and earlier than it actually comes out. We have a great show for you today. College football time, my friends. Vegas B. Edwards, Mr. Brian Edwards is back, and we're going to break down the SEC. Can't wait to start college football with guests. Brian is fantastic, a longtime guest of this show, and we're going to talk a little UFC 329. McGregor versus Holloway, another rematch. Oh, man, I cannot wait for UFC 329 this weekend. I'll actually be at the MGM Grand on Saturday. Not sure if I'm going to make the fight. I'm going because my daughter's there for dance, but you never know. We do have friends there that can help us out if needed. But either way, this event's going to be fun, and I can't wait to talk about it. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the World Cup. Now, starting with the U.S. team, they really didn't show up. And when I say not show up, they looked different. They looked scared. You know, they were not being aggressive. Even when Balogun was ruled back in the game and all that controversy came up, Twitter blowing up, people rooting against the U.S. that pretty much didn't like the fact of how it happened. Absolutely insane to me. It just shows how fried people's brains are. But either way, it would have been a lot nicer if the U.S. showed up for us because they played soft. And I mean very soft. Whenever they moved the ball down, they just kind of would hesitate and just kind of dribble it around. They wouldn't go at anybody, you know? They wouldn't try to go at anybody and try to make some plays happen. You'll get through down there, shove some elbows, you know? That's where they screwed up. Belgium took advantage, and man, our goalkeeper completely disappeared. You know, soft. One of our strikers was injured, and there's a lot of controversy about how soft he is. I'm actually thinking that he actually was injured and couldn't run. In my mind, I don't know, maybe he shouldn't have been that injured from a calf kick, but he was. I'm just talking about the whole team in general. You know, I'm not blaming it on him. I'm blaming it on the whole team that just looked terrible, completely out of sorts. You know, and just when you think the U.S. gets close to winning in soccer, you realize you're just another check mark on the wall for the real teams in this sport and the real countries in this sport. Not that FIFA has been drama-free. This has been an awful year for drama. And when you watched Argentina beat Egypt, you literally thought about never watching another soccer match again, especially a FIFA one. They got away with murder against Egypt. Now, was there a penalty on that step on your foot? Yeah, about 120 yards back or whatever it was. Sure, there was. You didn't call it. But if you're going to not call that and stop the goal because of it, then you have to stop Argentina's goal where they had all their infractions beforehand. And then you kind of look at the whole tournament, and that's what they were getting all tournament. Some say, well, you just can't give up a 2-0 lead. Yes, you can if the other team is being allowed to get away with murder. It's also a big momentum shift. Momentum is a real thing in sports. Your brain just doesn't compute the way it was. You play scared. You play on your heels, not on your toes. And then you lose that way. It's the same thing as playing to lose in football. Run, punt. That happens all the time too. But it's all part of momentum. And you took it away from Egypt from those terrible penalties and the way you officiated that game. That was an absolute travesty. Now, for me, I'm still alive in Survivor because I decided to switch from Colombia to Argentina because I wanted to pick Colombia against Argentina. Well, Colombia ended up losing in penalty kicks, so I would have lost anyway. And I end up winning because of Argentina and the refs. I couldn't believe it. But at the same time, I'm probably going to lose because now I have to pick Switzerland against Argentina. And I think that Colombia would have had a better chance with their defense. And I don't know a lot about soccer. I'm not a sharp soccer guy. But I do know a few things about sports. And if you play as soft as the United States did, you're not going to win games in any sport. You're just not going to do that. You're not going to win. And Argentina, maybe they just want Messi to win another, but they should be pretty damn embarrassed. And I guess that would be my only shot, as if these refs are embarrassed and they overcompensate the other way for Switzerland, because otherwise I'm probably dead out in Survivor. And I just did not want to see another France and Argentina. And I also don't want to split a Survivor with 100 people rather than have a shot at splitting it with 5. So that's why I got away from Argentina and the fact that they won it 4 years ago. But I still have a shot in this. I'm picking Spain against Belgium, and then I'm going to have France win it all if I actually can get to the final dance. But here we are. It is already talking about Survivor. It is football season. Let's talk to our wonderful guest, Mr. Brian Edwards, and get right into the SEC. $30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circa Sports contest entries starting at $1,000, all with no rake. Circa Million, 18 weeks of point spread action, 128 ways to win. Circa Survivor, pick one winner each week, last one standing wins. And Circa Grandissimo with $100,000 entry in over $4 million in guaranteed prizes. Enter Nevada, play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for details. Now I'm very excited to welcome back a fantastic sports bettor and great friend of the show, and Mr. Brian Edwards from Major Wager and Vegas Insider. You can follow Brian on Twitter, on X, at VegasBEdwards. Brian, we're turning the corner here, which means it just got hot as hell for us.
Yes,
Moving to football season. How's your week going?
Oh, man, my week is going good. It's taken me a few days to shake off all the beers I drank for the 4th, but it was a wonderful 4th, and have shaken them off and feeling good. And I thought I was going to peel. I was kind of sunburned, but I've dodged the peel, and all is well.
All right, good stuff. Well, I'm glad you did, because it took me 2 days to shake the 4th off as well, but that happens. The older you get, the longer it takes, I guess. But here we are, and it is recording on a Wednesday here. But we have a lot to talk about because we have a little UFC 329 coming out. I'll actually be in Vegas for that, but not for that. I'll be there for my daughter's dance competition, but my wife's already there with my daughter, which is a very scary situation. But I'm going to head up there, and I looked at some tickets, and they're not cheap for this Vegas 329. I'm pretty sure the half of Ireland are coming down to watch McGregor.
Yes, and I know we'll talk UFC later, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of late money on McGregor, so. For those of us betting Holloway, just chill, relax. The number's going to get better, I think.
I hope so, bro. Here we are. The SEC is been, I guess, the lowest floor conference. They don't have any teams that are too bad. Now that Vandy's doing pretty good, and that's what you specialize in. Being a big Florida Gators fan, just to remind everybody out there in our audience, but here we are, more change with the Florida Gators, and Sunbelt Billy is now gone, and you guys hired another Group of 5 coach named Jon Sumrall. What do you think about that hire, Brian? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. Everything that comes out of his mouth, I agree with, and it's such a breath of fresh air because Billy Bob Napier was so horrible. Every decision, every move, everything, every result was just garbage, and it's just so great that he's gone. And I'm loving Sumrall. I'm absolutely loving him. Got another 4-star for the 2027 class yesterday. He's doing really good in recruiting. I love the staff that he hired. I really like Buster Faulkner, the OC. Brad White's done a good job at Kentucky as DC for a long time. And I mean, this guy he has been all aces in 4 seasons as a head coach. I mean, if I had my druthers, I would kind of want somebody a little more seasoned at the power. Are we back to calling it Power 5, or are we still calling it Power 4? The Pac-12 doesn't feel very power to me.
Pac-12 heavy and Pac-12 light, my friends. Pac-12 is more like Mountain West heavy, I guess you'd call the new Pac-12. They are definitely a group of 6 conference, which I coined early in May. And now everyone's starting to catch on. I'm sure they got it from me. Pretty easy to think about. Group of 6, not group of 5. But you gotta throw the Pac-12 in the group of 6 now, and it's going to be Power 4 from now on.
Yeah, okay, good. That's how it should be. But yeah, I love Sumrall. I thought he did a great job of retaining our best players, and I wanted, half those guys to kick rocks anyway. There was only like maybe 2 or 3 that I wish we would have kept. But yeah, I'm loving everything about him. And, he's not under pressure to get to Atlanta this year or anything, but I think a nice 8-4, which is, is not what we really like around here, but after the Billy Bob debacle, I would take an 8-4 right now, and that's kind of what I think that we're gonna get. I mean, maybe we could steal one and win 9, but I feel pretty good about this team. They didn't spend a whole lot of money NIL-wise at the quarterback position, but I'm okay with that because they spread it around. And, Aaron Philo has been in Buster Faulkner's system now going on a 3rd year. And they really like Shermell Jones, who redshirted last year. He looked really good in the spring game. So I think we're going to have a nice QB competition, give Philo the edge because of his familiarity with Buster Faulkner's system. But, I'm liking the Gators this year.
I like him more than last year. I'm not so sure if I'm going to get to 8 wins or anything. I think that's quite optimistic of you to say that. But we'll get into our thoughts on that very quickly here because the SEC is a pretty big conference, and now we have a lot to talk about. And we're going to get to Florida. But I also do like Jon Sumrall. I think he was successful at Troy. Look at what he did with Tulane, making them a very formidable. They were better than a lot of Power 4 teams. That should have been a place that shouldn't be that good at football with LSU and all the big schools down there recruiting from there, and there they are, just looking great. And I think it's a great hire. And I don't love necessarily going after the Luke Fickles of the world, as Wisconsin. He had some success down there, but I think this one is the exception. So I'm excited to see Jon Sumrall down there in Florida. But let's get into a little SEC, kind of team by team pass if you want. But, I did somewhat of a deep dive on every single team. And Alabama, we'll go in alphabetical order. Alabama's a team that is under a lot of scrutiny. Just when you think their coach is on the freaking hot seat, they give him a contract, extend his contract. Right. And that shocked the shit out of me because this Alabama team does not have money. They're losing guys. The returning production is 91st, which is normal for them. But when you look at returning production with NIL, dude, like Notre Dame's 1. Texas is number 6. You got Georgia at number 8. You got Florida at 10. You got Oregon at 11. I mean, it's like these teams, Oklahoma at 16. These teams are returning their guys because they're paying them now. So they're not leaving right away. And then you see Alabama going stuck all the way down there at 91st. But, here's the weird thing. Austin Mack, I mean, he couldn't beat out Simpson. He's a senior now, but he feels like a backup quarterback to me. Ryan Williams couldn't catch the ball last year. that's the only two guys to kind of look at here. I'm thinking that this team could be in a lot of trouble. Tricky schedule versus Georgia, at Tennessee, at LSU. A&M's on their schedule. I mean, I think they're going to miss the playoffs, Brian. So I'm just telling you right now, I took under 8.5 with Alabama. As soon as that make or miss playoff prop comes out, I'm going to bet it.
Well, look, any team that, I don't have a lot of certainty about what kind of quarterback play we're going to get, then I'm not going to have a strong opinion. And I think it's going to be Keelan Russell rather than Austin Mack, or at least that's what my Alabama folks have been telling me. And I think he's going to be pretty good, but until I see him, up against live bullets and SEC defenses on Saturdays on national television, I'm not going to form too much of an opinion. But what I will form an opinion about is that I don't know about the running game. The running game was a disaster last year. I mean, they had a first-round quarterback that played very well. I mean, 28-5 TDI&T ratio, but they only averaged 29.5 points per game, their lowest by far in a long time. And I don't know about the running back position either. And, I think Keelan Russell's going to be good at QB, but we don't know that for certain. Now, on the positive notes, I do think they're going to be very good at receiver, and I think their defense is still a top 10 defense in the country, and they might have the best secondary in the nation. So the defense is still going to keep them in all their games. But again, they could not run the ball last year, and it hurt them big time, especially against Oklahoma, and then obviously in the SEC title game as well. So, they've got a lot of swing games to me. Georgia at home with their +3 at DraftKings, at Tennessee, another team we're not real sure about the quarterback position. They're -1.5 in that one. A&M at home, that's -2.5, and those are 3 games in a row. Then they get the open date. Then they're at LSU where they're a 4-point dog. I guess last trip to Vandy was a tough one, so you can't necessarily overlook that one. So I think they're going to be right around the 8 to 9 win, right around there, depending on quarterback play, and it's a pass for me on the win total.
I'm at 7.32 wins for Alabama, but that's because their schedule is pretty hard, and I'm higher on a few other guys. The thing about Alabama is, like I said, their schedule can be a little tricky here. They should be Florida State, but man, they always beat Georgia, but this could be an exception this year. Away at Tennessee is going to be tricky. They lost away at Tennessee recently. LSU is supposed to be great. At Vanderbilt, probably a win. But yeah, A&M at home, definitely a little tricky as well. So I think 8 wins is fair. And even though they're my 13th best, they're my 18th best power rated team. I think it's going to be tricky for them to get in the playoffs this year. And you have to remember, all year when it came to the playoffs, people were talking smack about the fact that Alabama shouldn't have been in. I wonder if the committee, they get 3 losses this year, if they're going to feel quite as compelled to get them in with 3 losses. So that's why I kind of like that, even if they do get up to 9 wins. Maybe you can bet them to not make the playoffs. Let's move to Arkansas, the Razorbacks. We have a new coach here. What do you think about Arkansas and the Hogs?
They are not going to be very good. They had such a great offense last year and could have won a bunch of games last year. I mean, they lost so many heartbreakers. They were one of the most fun teams to bet on that I can remember in a long time, though, because I was crushing the player props with the featured back of their opponent going over his rushing yards prop and Mike Washington and Taylor Green going over their rushing yards prop and their anytime touchdowns. So this team was just and the over for both teams. I was betting pretty much every week. It was just such a fun team to bet on. But most of those guys are gone. So Silverfield comes in. He brought 7 transfers from Memphis with him. I think the KJ Jackson kid is going to be pretty good at quarterback. Small sample size last year, but he got a lot of playing time in the Texas game and started the Missouri game. Legit dual threat. He can run it and throw it. And I think he'll be pretty good. And I think the receiver room is pretty good, and you got some good backs. I love Braylon Russell. He is a big boy. And then Sutton Smith, the transfer from Memphis, who had a huge game against Arkansas last year. He's kind of that smaller speed guy. But defensively, they're going to be awful again. Now, they do have a future NFL guy in Quincy Rhodes, who was one of the top sack guys in the SEC last year. But they're going to be depending on a ton of transfers. And, I just don't think they're going to win a whole lot of games. I marked them 2-8 with 2 swing games. I got them winning the non-con games against North Alabama and Tulsa. And then I got the swing games being Tennessee at home and South Carolina at home. But again, as always, Arkansas has got one of the toughest schedules in the country. I would say under, but I mean, on June 26th at FanDuel, I wrote down that the under was minus 170 at 4.5, but I got it right here, and the under is still minus 170. Not interested in laying a minus 170 price, but I would lean under if I had to pick it.
Yeah, my number's 4.5 wins this year, exactly 4.51, so it could be easily 4. I have them 8.5 points better than the average team, which ranks about 45th. The truth is that I'm not high on this team either, and I do think that Silverfield, they say he should have been done a lot better in Memphis, but I thought he did an okay job. I'm a little bit higher on Silverfield than others, but I think this is going to be a slightly improved Arkansas team, and good call on Quincy Rhodes. I do think he's going to make a difference on the edge there, but I don't have a lot to say about them because we don't know which quarterback's going to start either. Is it KJ Jackson or AJ Hill? You know,
it's going to be KJ. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know AJ Hill was the best recruit in Memphis history, and he obviously followed him. But I do radio in Little Rock weekly. They tell me it's going to be KJ.
All right. Well, you get to talk about the Hogs a lot. Imagine that. What a wonderful thing for Brian. Auburn Tigers is next. Another team, another new regime coming on up, and this team just can't seem to get past the old Alabama at the very end. Alex Golish comes in from South Florida here. So you're looking at another massive overhaul on the roster. What do you think about the Tigers?
Yeah, so he brought 13 guys with him from USF, and 11 of them are on offense. So for somebody like Byron Brown, who is, going from the AAC, a step up in competition to the SEC, there's a lot of ingredients for it to be a pretty seamless transition. First off, he's a total stud. And he's got 5 of his wide receivers came with him, his tight end, one of his running backs. They've got one of the best running back rooms in the country. Jeremiah Cobb was fantastic last year, 969 rushing yards, 5.5 yards per carry average. And then you add Bryson Washington, who's been the featured back at Baylor, who's had 1,816 rushing yards the last 2 years and also 5.5 yards per carry average. And then you add Davenport from USF, who had a very nice freshman year last season. And, not only does Brown have his receivers, but he's got his starting center, Cole Best, who was third-team All-AAC guy last year. So he's got his same head coach, his same OC. He's got 5 of his receivers. He's got his starting center, and he's got his offensive guard. And they have the number 9 transfer-specific class. Now, they lost a lot of those studs on defense, but Xavier Atkins is back, first-team All-SEC last year. And I think Auburn's going to be good. It's relative. I mean, I think they're going to be better. I've got them 5-4 with 3 swing games. I've got the swing games being Florida at home in week 3, which is a pick'em at DraftKings. I've got a swing game LSU at home, and then a swing game at Mississippi State. So with a total 6.5, I think that Florida and Auburn's, both of their season win totals is probably going to come down to what happens on the Plains in game 3. Because out of the other 2 swing games, I've been saying I think LSU is going to get bitten on the road. It's either going to be at Auburn or it's going to be, as I get to LSU's page, they're going to lose one of these 2 road games. I thought it was at Tennessee. And that's the one. So it might be Auburn may get that one against LSU at home. At Mississippi State, it's going to be tough, man. I like Kamario Taylor, and we'll get to him. But it's a pass for me on the win total. Again, I think Florida and Auburn season win total will probably come down over or under on who prevails week 3 at Auburn.
What do they have it listed at? 6.5 for Auburn?
I'm sorry, 6.5 at FanDuel, over -115 a few weeks ago, and I'm looking at it now. It's still over -115, under -105 at 6.5.
I have Auburn at 6 wins this year, almost exactly 11.5 points better than the average team. I do have them slightly a point and a half under Florida, so I have them favored by a point or so during that game, close to a pick 'em. So I do agree that's going to be a swing game here, but not too excited about Auburn just yet. I know that Golish is great, but bringing a South Florida team that was good in the American is going to be a lot different having to play some with these kids in the SEC, I think. And it's also kind of a honeymoon year for him. It's funny to see their other quarterback that I thought did decent. What was his name? Jackson or Darnold? I forgot his name.
Jackson Arnold. He's with Mullen at UNLV now.
Yeah. I thought he did okay at Auburn there, but I guess you got to bring your quarterback from South Florida, Byron Brown. He is a stud there, especially when it comes to playing the American. But it's going to be a big step up in competition for the Auburn Tigers. So 6 wins for me is where I have them. Not enough to bet, but that's what I'm thinking. Florida Gators is next, and obviously you give us a nice little intro on what are your thoughts about them. But here's the thing: I think it's going to be a successful season for Florida, but I have to go under 7.5 wins, and I did that because I just do not see it completely gelling. What scares me the most is their money. Florida's got a ton of money. A lot of people don't know that. I think they're like number 2 when it comes to capital, when it comes to being able to spread it around. You know more about that than me, but I did read something that they're number 2. And that's where you hope that Jon Sumrall can take advantage of, and start getting some guys in. I think it's still a little early for him. But I do definitely see a couple easy wins in the beginning. At Auburn is a big swing game. I'm high on Ole Miss. I got that as a loss. At Missouri, I probably a loss. South Carolina is kind of a push 'em in a way. I'm higher on South Carolina. At Texas is tough. Versus Georgia is tough as always. Oklahoma's tough. At Kentucky, probably a push. Vanderbilt's probably a win. And then you got Florida State at the end here. So I think 7 wins is going to happen. I don't think 8's going to happen.
So I think Florida's going to beat Ole Miss. That is a vintage letdown scenario for the Rebels, who I think are going to beat LSU at home in the biggest, vitriol game you could possibly imagine. The week before, I think that leaves Ole Miss in vintage letdown mode, and it's week 4. Let me tell you, late September in Gainesville with that humidity. Hopefully it'll be an afternoon game like it was 2 years ago when Jackson Dart struggled so bad and threw 3 interceptions and Florida beat Ole Miss. I love Florida's chances to win that game. Florida does not have a whole lot of success at Missouri. They will beat South Carolina at home. They'll lose at Texas. Florida should have beaten Georgia the last 2 seasons. If Flagway doesn't get hurt 2 years ago, I think Florida wins that game. And they had no business losing the game last year. Oklahoma is going to be it's going to be tough for Oklahoma to come to the Swamp and win. Florida's in huge revenge mode at Kentucky. That's Sumrall's alma mater. He played linebacker at Kentucky. I don't know if Mike Norvell is going to be around by the time Florida goes to Tallahassee on Black Friday. Florida's -4.5 in that game in the games of the year. I love Florida in that spot. I think Florida, if Dallas Wilson is healthy, and that's a big question mark because he wasn't able to really stay healthy last year, I think Florida may have the best wide receiver room in the country. Eric Singleton is fantastic. He already knows Faulkner's system. Been playing 2 years at Georgia Tech. We also have a couple other Georgia Tech guys besides Philo. Luke Harpering, Matt Harpering. I'm pretty sure it's Matt Harpering's son or nephew. Matt Harpering, I'm sure you remember, Georgia Tech. ACC basketball, one of the best scorers in ACC hoops history. And so anyway, that's a little bit on and then Jaden Ball. I mean, Jaden Ball right there with Kewan Lacey and Ahmad Hardy as, top backs in the country or SEC and the country. And so I think Florida's going to win 8. I lean to the over, especially since it's plus money, plus 120 at FanDuel.
Want to become a better better? Want to get on a path to handicapping professionally? Start by tracking every pick with full transparency using the odds breakers partnered with TallySite. These platforms verify your record, grade every play, and showcase long-term performance so you can build real credibility, not just screenshots and hindsight claims. If you're serious about leveling up, proving your edge, and establishing yourself as a professional handicapper, this is where your reputation begins. Just go to theoddsbreakers.com and click on live odds/pick tracking to get started. Join us in your handicapping journey. Wow, that'd be a hell of a season if they do get to 8. That'd be borderline making the playoffs. Just one more win. You're in that discussion. That would be incredibly impressive if they could do something like that. But I just don't know about being the first year if he can turn it around. But we're not that far off. I think that 7 wins is possible. You think 8, so we'll see. I kind of have them more closer to 6, but I even think that making a bowl would be fine for this team, as they only won 4 games last year. Mississippi State, Florida State, Texas was the big one. They got that big win against Texas, and everybody, all the Longhorn fans, scratching their heads over that. They blame Florida for not making the playoffs in that one, which is the damn truth, right? It's like, if you're going to schedule Ohio State, you better win some other games here, and Florida took them right out. So I find that really interesting. Texas in a massive revenge spot on October 17th there, so that's going to be an interesting game to watch as well. So excited for Florida football here with Sumrall. Now to Georgia, your other rival. This is a team that obviously has gotten in the way of everybody, not just Florida. Kirby Smart's one of the, I guess I would say he's a top 3 coach for sure now. Maybe he's the top 1 coach now. I don't know. He's up there. I don't know. There's too many guys you put ahead of Kirby Smart right now. Georgia's Georgia, and now they have a massive amount of returning production coming in. So I don't want to fade Georgia. I have Georgia is probably my best SEC team right now. But why don't you give me the lowdown and your thoughts on the Bulldogs?
Man, I think they're loaded. I think they're going to be awesome. The only really position unit that I have concerns about is the wide receiver room. They're not nearly as talented at wide receiver as they have been in the past, but I love Gunnar Stockton. The running back room is loaded. The defense, per usual, should be nasty. The total, 9.5. It's shaded to the over, minus 172, plus 140 for the under. I look at the schedule. I've got them 9-1 with 2 swing games. I've got them losing at Ole Miss, where they're a 4.5-point favorite. At DraftKings, that's in a spot after the rivalry game against the Gators. I'm trying to think who Ole Miss has the week before that. Let's see here. Ole Miss has Auburn at home, so they don't no traveling going on there. So anyway, the 2 swing games I've got for Georgia are at Alabama and Florida at home, where they're a 12.5-point favorite, or not home, but in Atlanta rather than Jacksonville this year. So, they haven't won in Tuscaloosa since Stafford threw that touchdown in overtime in 2007, Saban's first year. But they don't play in Tuscaloosa a whole lot, and although Georgia's been Alabama's bitch for a long time, maybe Georgia kind of got off the schneid in that SEC championship game last year. Now, obviously, they had lost at home to Bama in the regular season, but they put it on them pretty good, 28-7 in the SEC championship game. So I would play the over, but the minus 172 price, that's just got me a little priced out. Now, if DraftKings, and I bet DraftKings probably does have an adjusted total at 10.5, I wouldn't be against that because I like their chances at Bama, and I think they probably beat Florida, even though I said that's a swing game. So I think there's a really good chance they go 11-1. Watch out for Oklahoma at home, though. That could be – I know they're a 10-point favorite there, but that could be a tough one as well.
I have Georgia with 10 wins. I have them power rated as my fifth best team. No, they're fourth. They're tied with Indiana. I have Indiana and Georgia tied under Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Oregon on the top of my power rankings. It's not often when Georgia brings back a ton of production, ranking eighth and returning production. Gunnar Starkton played pretty well, I thought. What sucked last year was the secondary and the pass rush. They had no pass rush last year. They brought in this Knight guy, what was his name, Will Knight, to try to Larry Knight. I guess he's some pass rushing expert or something. I don't know much about him, but they're trying to fix that. And ranking 86 in opponent pass EPA, that is not Georgia, man. And like 83rd in his success rate. So that's really where it was. There's teams throwing all over them last year. And you saw Ole Miss throw all over them. You saw Texas.
Twice.
Yeah. Who else did?
Tennessee threw all over them.
Yeah, and Alabama did that first game a little bit. Tennessee did, but they still won the game. They're losing that game, I think, for a while. They were losing Georgia Tech for a little bit, too. Yeah, it was just one of those weird...
Tennessee game, they had to get a 4th and 6 touchdown pass and a 2-point conversion to tie it late in regulation, and then Tennessee missed a walk-off field goal that was fairly... I think it was like 42 yards or something like that. Mm-hmm. And Georgia won an OT.
I got yeah. It's all that situation where they had to stop the big plays and they couldn't. I think that changes. I think Georgia's the best team in the SEC. Kentucky Wildcats are next, and another team under massive transition. Will Stein is first year coach over here. I don't know what to say about Kentucky here. Minchie, is that the quarterback here? Kenny Minchie coming in?
Yeah, transfer from Notre Dame. Hasn't thrown it much, but has run the ball a lot and put up some good running numbers. But I don't know what to expect out of him. He was a 4-star out of high school. I like he got the number 10 transfer specific class out of the portal per 247 Sports. He got some really good linemen. Lance Hurd from Tennessee, and was LSU prior to that, who's got 23 career starts in the SEC. They got some pretty good players out of the portal. They got C.J. Baxter, a former 5-star from Texas, Javante Barnes. Barnes formerly at Oklahoma. Baxter and Barnes have had success in the SEC and just kind of wanted to get more touches, so they left their respective programs. They got some receivers and Hardly Gilmore, and they got Nick Anderson from Oklahoma that when he's healthy, he's been really good. So, Kentucky will be scrappy, but I just don't think I don't know what to expect out of Minchie at quarterback. And so I marked them 2-8 with 2 swing games. Swing games being Louisville at home and Vanderbilt at home. Look, the way they kicked Florida's ass at home, I probably should have made that a swing game as well because they get Florida at home again, and they absolutely brutalized us last year. But they lost was it Seth McGowan or Dante Dowdell that went to Georgia? Anyway, one of their 2 backs, one of them went to Georgia, and it was Dowdell. Yeah, he was kind of the power guy, and they're going to miss him. But they got, I say that they got Barnes and Baxter. So anyway, I lean to the under on Kentucky, and let's see, it is 4.5, and its under price is actually plus money, plus 122.
Okay. I have Kentucky the worst team in the SEC, believe it or not, under Mississippi State this year, just from all the transition. I said fade at first and then maybe get on them later is kind of what I'm thinking. It's going to take a while to gel. I have them at, believe it or not, I have them somehow at 4.63 wins. So I don't know what their win total is. We can check our friends.
4.5.
4.5. Okay. So I saw them right there. 4.5 wins over is minus 150. So, they had those 2 extremely easy games against Youngstown State. There's another one on there. I can't
South Alabama, week 4.
South Alabama should be a win. So yeah, the swing games are going to be huge. But, this is another team in complete transition. And that's kind of how it is. Former Texas A&M defensive coordinator is going to come in, Jay Bateman. So he's going to have more autonomy there. I do like Will Stein. I don't know how quickly they can get it going, but what I do know is when it comes to these new situations, you want to fade them pretty quick unless it is like a big name school that's, like what Oregon did with Lanning, right? You don't want to fade that situation. I think this situation is what you want to fade, and I could be too high in Kentucky coming in. So that's my thoughts. LSU, as you know, a lot of drama with LSU, and everyone's already calling LSU versus Ole Miss the game of the year. I think it's the funnest coaching situation. I mean, I never thought that I'd see a coach leave for another school during the freaking playoffs, but that's how it's come to. But that's the whole drama about it. But these guys are going to be about business coming in, and LSU, the transfer portal king, Lane Kiffin, self-proclaimed. I don't disagree with that. He is, and he has success. He's had success. We can't doubt that. But I don't like Sam Leavitt that much. I mean, I'm a little bit lower than the market than LSU. I'm not like. I think some people are a little too high on them. Is my point. I think LSU, the amount of wins I have is 8.43. And I think their win total is 8.5, but juiced to the.
No, it's flat, -110 either way at 8.5.
Okay, flat.
At least at FanDuel.
So maybe I am somewhat with the market on good old LSU here, but right now I have them my 10th best team at 23 points better than the average team.
I like Leavitt when he's healthy, but we don't know if he's healthy. I mean, he missed all of spring practice with the foot injury now. He's been cleared in recent weeks, but, when you're coming to a new team with, completely new receivers and all that, you need some time to develop chemistry, and he did not get that in the spring, so I think that's concerning. But they're loaded with talent. Number 1 overall recruiting class, number 1 transfer specific. They got 60 commits, 5 stars, 24 4-stars, 41 transfers, 3 of them are 5 stars, 11 are 4 stars. So they're loaded with talent, and Kiffin has proven that he can, take all these new pieces and get them to gel. He's done that at Ole Miss the last several years and done it effectively. I've got them marked 6-2 with 4 swing games. I do like them to crush Clemson in week 1, but that's more fate of Clemson, I think, and a quarterback making his first career start on the road. Actually, the Clemson starter, never mind. I think Clemson guy got a starter too late last year. But anyhow, I love Ole Miss in games of the year, week 3 against LSU. I think LSU loses at Ole Miss. The other game I have them losing is Texas at home, where they're a 3-point dog at DraftKings. I've got the 4 swing games being A&M at home, where they're a 3-point favorite at DraftKings. At Auburn, like I was saying earlier, I think they're going to get clipped either at Auburn or at Tennessee. So I had both of them as swing games. And I've got the Alabama game as a swing game where they're a 4-point home favorite. I'll give them A&M and Bama at home just based on home field advantage pretty much. But I think they definitely get clipped at least once out of Auburn and Tennessee, and maybe twice if Tennessee's getting good quarterback play. So, I'm thinking 9-3 or 8-4. We shall see. So I'll pass on and I don't want to root for these guys. But the game of the year, Ole Miss. I love Ole Miss to get LSU in week 3.
Get your popcorn ready. The Sam Leavitt was great with Jordan Tyson as his receiver and Cam Scadaboo as his running back. I didn't see a lot after that. I didn't like him before that. I didn't like him when he was in Michigan State. So that's my worries about Sam Leavitt. Mississippi State Bulldogs here. You got Jeff Lebby coming on in with a, kind of a rough 7-18 record. It's not like expectations are super high at Mississippi State here, but now you got a huge recruit. And was it Camarillo Taylor? Camarillo Taylor. I can't even say his name. Still early. He's coming in. This team started out winning 4 in a row. Now they were against a bunch of cupcakes. I guess ASU wasn't considered a cupcake yet. They did really well against Tennessee, and then kind of faltered as the season went on. They went to overtime with Texas. Florida was a one-score game. I mean, I'm pretty sure these guys covered a shit ton of spreads last year, and I need to look that number up. But
7-5-1.
Okay, 7-5-1. So early they covered, and then when they lost by 20 against Georgia, they lost by 22 against Missouri, over 20 by Ole Miss, and at Wake Forest, even in the bowl game, they lost by a bunch. But that's where they were doing really great until the end. ATS.
Yeah, so they never should have lost to Tennessee. Tennessee had a scoop and score, which allowed them to force overtime. They never should have lost to Florida. They were in field goal range in the final minute, down by 2, and Levy was throwing the ball, and Florida dropped the defensive tackle into coverage, and Shapen never saw him and threw a horrible interception for the Gators to win that one. And they had a 17-point lead on Texas early in the fourth quarter, allowed like an 85, 90-yard punt return, and somehow I still don't know how they lost that game against Texas. They could have easily been 8-5 last year. They've got an elite wide receiver in Anthony Evans. They've got a excellent lead back in Fluff Bothwell. And this Kamario Taylor kid is legit. Now, we'll see on his passing accuracy and how much he's improved. But as a runner, this guy is 6'4", 230, but he's super fast. And this guy, there is no ceiling on how good this guy could be. I love the Marquise Johnson, the receiver from Missouri they got out of the portal. And Levy did a good job of a roster construction last year. Like I said, they were a lot better than their final record last year. Now, I do worry about the defense a little bit. Now, they did make an excellent DC hire. They brought their old head coach back, Zach Arnett, who replaced Leach, but then they fired him after 1 year. But he is a hell of a DC, and they brought him back. So I think the defense should be improved just out of who's calling the plays. They've got a cover corner in Kelly Jones, who's probably going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft. They also got Isaac Smith, a linebacker, who was second-team All-SEC 2 years ago. So anyhow, I think if they can keep Taylor healthy, they should be okay. I've got them 2-5 with 5 swing games, but these swing games, a lot of them are winnable. At Minnesota, at South Carolina, Missouri at home, Oklahoma at home, and Vanderbilt at home. I'm sorry, I've got them losing at South Carolina. Did I say South Carolina's a swing game? Sorry. Auburn at home was the other swing game. But, I mean, I could see them getting 3 of those because how many of them are at home? Auburn, Vandy, and Mizzou. Those games are at home. We'll see how they fare at Minnesota. But I could see them winning 5 and going over, but it's minus 130 on the over. I slightly lean to the over 4.5 for Mississippi State.
I have them at 5 wins, so I am definitely not too far off. I lean to the over as well. You got me excited about Mississippi State. I thought you were going to slam a season win total play on that one, my friend. Way to break that one down. I guess a lot to be excited about if you like some cowbell this year, God, I think.
Well, let me mention real quick. It's interesting who the backup quarterbacks are. A.J. Swan, who was a starter at Vanderbilt for a year and a half, is QB2. And QB3, Jaden Rashada, if you remember, he was the guy that never showed up at Florida and sued Billy Napier and sued the Gators and sued our NIL collective. And then he went to Arizona State, started a couple games, transferred to Georgia, never touched the field, transferred to Sacramento State, and got benched like 3 games into the season. So I just found it interesting, 2 SEC names, old school kind of, that are the backups for Taylor at QB.
Well, there you go. And Zach Arnett coming back on defensive coordinator, is interesting too. He's just all I got to do is worry about the defense now. An old coach like that. So it's funny that they're kind of in it to win it. I guess if you wanted a super sleeper team, you could look at Mississippi State. I don't know how quickly the kid Taylor can get rolling here, but I like him. Maybe I'll have to make another adjustment on him. I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna take a look at this team a little bit more.
I'm sorry, cut you off. Yeah, one more thing. Rushing yards props, player props for Taylor. Take his rushing yards prop over like every week. I mean, he didn't play a lot last year, and he still ran for. Oh gosh, I don't have it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, got it in front of me. He still ran for 458 yards and 8 touchdowns, 5.6 yards per carry average. He only started twice. So this guy can rushing yards props over every game. I think he's going to hit a lot of those.
All right, well, I like it. Missouri Tigers, and the Tigers are. Well, I got a little bit more of a stable team, I would say. It's 6.5 is their win total at our friends over at FanDuel. Pretty simple non-con at Kansas. Could be somewhat tricky, but, Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Troy in the beginning. Then they go to Mississippi State, hoping to dominate. This team lost every single defensive starter, it looks like to me. So they have a lot of rebuilding to do, and they've kind of been a defensive team, only allowing 18 points a game. Austin Simmons is coming in as their quarterback. Why don't you talk about the Tigers?
Yeah, so I thought Austin Simmons was going to be really good for Ole Miss last year. And he goes down in week 2 with the ankle injury, and Trinidad just took over, and there was no getting his job back. But I still think Austin Simmons can be a pretty good quarterback in this league. Now, the big question is, Ahmad Hardy, he got shot in his upper leg. And he might have been the best running back in the country last year, consensus first team All-American. Now, I will say their running back 2 is one of the best backup running backs in the country, Jamal Roberts, 753 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 6.1 yards per carry average last year. So, I think as long as Hardy's ready at Mississippi State in week 4, they'll be okay. I think they can win at Kansas. I'm kind of down on Kansas. I think they can win there in week 2 without him. And by the way, they're a 7-point favorite in that game in the games of the year. But it's a big question mark about Ahmad Hardy. So we'll see when he's going to be back. But look, man, they've got a really good offensive line. Phil Steele ranks them number 6 in his national unit rankings. I don't think they're going to be as salty defensively as they have been. They lose Damon Wilson to the portal as he went to the Canes. But they did have the number 20 transfer-specific class. I love their tight end, Brett Norfleet. They got Caden Lee, a stud receiver from Ole Miss. So they're going to be good. But Hardy in his situation, if he's back and healthy and the leg's okay, you probably have the best running back room in the country. I've got them marked 6-4 with 2 swing games. Have them losing at Ole Miss, Texas at home, at Georgia, and Oklahoma at home. I've got the 2 swing games being A&M and Florida at home. I think they'll get at least one of those. So that would be 7-5. And right now, FanDuel has 6.5. Over is -106. Don't know if I play it, but I lean over as long as there is, an optimistic report on Hardy, come late August. I would say it's over or a pass.
I have 6.4. I have them as a meddling team. I was not a Simmons fan. I thought that replacing him was smart, and look how it worked out for Ole Miss. Clearly, Trinidad Chambliss is fantastic in my book, and I think that when Bo Pribula broke his ankle, the season just went away from them. But they're doing pretty damn good. Before that, they started out winning 5 wins in a row, and I don't remember when he broke his ankle, but they almost beat Bama. And then
he got hurt. He got hurt at Vandy.
Okay, 2 games later.
They won the games at Vandy and Bama at home. They could have won both of those.
Yeah. and then at Vandy. It was at Vandy, but they could have won that one. They won at Auburn, though. Yeah, they were doing really well, but they just lost everybody. It's not that type of team that can afford every single year to lose what they did, like they have to the draft and to graduation. Like a Georgia can do it, an Alabama can usually do it, and LSU can do it. They, I don't think, can. And ranking 48 in the on-net transfer portal rankings, 19 and 247, but the net transfer portal rankings is what I'm concerned about. Eli Drinkwitz still a very good coach. Oklahoma Sooners. This team is very interesting because Mateer was hurt last year. I thought they were very fraudulent to make the playoffs too. I thought both Alabama and them were kind of fraudulent, and it proved to be so. But at the same time, I like a lot of things that Oklahoma did. Why don't you break them down for us?
Yeah, I think they're going to have one of the best defenses in the country. Kip Lewis, the leading tackler, linebacker. He is elite. Their whole D-line is just nasty up front. My question is Mateer. Now, I give him the Texas game because he came back early. He was clearly still hurt, and he's probably still hurt a little bit for a couple more weeks. But once we got into late November, you're only scoring 17 points at home to Missouri when Missouri can't do anything offensively, and you're only scoring 17 points at home to LSU when they've got an interim head coach. And then, you have a 17-0 lead. You throw that terrible pick six. I just don't know if Mateer's that good because he played poorly their last 3 games, and that was more than 2 months removed from the injury. So the injury wasn't an excuse at that point. Now, he's apparently put on like 11 pounds of muscle and totally refined his mechanics with this new trainer he's been working with. So we'll see. But I'm just really down on Mateer. Now, look, Isaiah Satania, one of the best return guys in the country and a big play receiver, second-team All-SEC last year. He's fantastic. But, the O-line, yeah. The running back room, yeah. But again, they've got one of the best defenses in the country, so they'll be in every game. I've got them marked 5-2 with 5 swing games. I have them losing at Georgia where they're a 10-point dog. I have them losing to Texas. Swing games at Michigan where they're plus 2.5 at last look. At Florida, Ole Miss at home where they're a 4-point home favorite, but they lost to Ole Miss at home last year. A&M at home. And at Missouri, I think they'll go at least 3-2 in those swing games. So I think they get to at least 8, and the win total is 7.5 at minus 115 to the over is what I wrote down a week or so ago. Let's see. Oh, it's minus 130 to the over now. I would still lean over, but I don't know that I'll play it. At a minus 130 price.
Yeah, what sucks is a lot of these I came up pretty close to what it should be. My problem with Oklahoma is they do have a pretty tricky schedule. They got to win at Michigan now, and Michigan's going to be a little bit of revenge mode here. At Georgia's tough. Texas is always tough, right? That's not fun. They're going to be dogs in that game by, 5 points, Texas?
6 is the last look. I think DraftKings had it at 6.
If Mississippi State improved, that's not a gimme in it away. You got away at Florida. I only have it 7.64 wins, dude. You got Ole Miss coming up. You got Texas A&M. This is a brutal schedule here, And where does it rank here? I look at punt and rally. Oklahoma's got the second worst schedule according to power ratings. Texas has got the worst schedule. Oklahoma's got the second hardest schedule according to power ratings in anybody. So I'm worried about Oklahoma just based on that schedule. How about Ole Miss? I already talked about how much I love Ole Miss and Trinidad Chambliss. I think Trinidad Chambliss, if he was out in the draft this year, I would have took a first-round pick on him. I know he's older.
I agree.
But sometimes you just got to mature. I took forever to mature. I'm still maturing right now, my friend. I'm not sure if Pete Golding's a great coach yet, but they should also just have that chip on their shoulder, that Michael Jordan getting cut from his freshman season at basketball, chipped for frickin' their coach leaving him. I mean, they should want to kick everybody's ass this year, and that's what they should have posted on their locker room on every single wall, and including the whiteboard. Now, the Rebs, they filled their holes in the transfer portal, in my opinion. They ranked number 14th in the on-net transfer portal and number 2 in the 247 transfer portal. Getting Georgia and LSU at home, I think, is key. And even though obviously it's a pretty hard schedule, the fact that they get them at home sets them up maybe to run the table. I know you like Florida there, but man, I think Ole Miss has a hell of a chance to repeat and make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. Every single game they play, except for at Texas, maybe, they're going to walk out on the field and they're going to have the 2 best players on that field, and that's Kewan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss. Phil Steele's national unit rankings has every single position group ranked in the top 17 nationally. Every single. I mean, they're number 5 at QB, which I disagree with. I think it should be higher. They're number 15 at running back. I think it should be way higher. 16 receiver, 17 O-line, number 8 D-line, number 8 linebacker, 14 in the secondary, 13 special teams. I like Ole Miss to smash Louisville in week 1 where they're -6.5 in Nashville. I like them, like I said, -1.5 to LSU at home in week 3. I think they'll lose at Florida in that letdown scenario. I've got them 7-2 with 3 swing games. The other loss I have is at Texas, where they're a 9.5-point underdog. However, I might be taking them as if they're that big of an underdog.
It's a big underdog.
3 swing games at Vandy. I think they'll win that. So that would make them 8-2. And the other swing games, actually, I've got them beating Georgia. I had that as a swing game. So that would make them 9-2 at Oklahoma. That one's tough, especially after playing Georgia. So I'll call that a loss. I think they're going to go 9-3. But they're 7.5 shaded to the over -172. I'm sure DraftKings has got an adjusted win total at 8.5. That's a much better price, and I would be fine with taking over 8.5 at a better number.
I took over 7.5 -140. I played it a little safer, being that this is the SEC. You know, I think.
Where'd you get the -140 price at 7.5?
DK.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if it's still there. And, you know, it's just back and forth. You got to just shop around, especially this time of season. There's like all these books can be a lot different. I've even seen plus money on both sides before in the past for some of these alt lines, which is absolutely insane. But, yeah, I mean, I think, just as I said, I think they have a shot to win the SEC. You know, putting it up here real quick, I think at 11-1, you can get on DraftKings to win the SEC. Now, they're plus 220 to make the playoffs if you want to make it a little bit safer on yourself here. But right now, over 7.5, I'm looking at it right now on DraftKings at -140 is a great play. Over 8.5 is a plus 160. You can just divide your unit and do half on -140, half on plus 160, and play it like that so you mitigate a loss if they only get 8 wins. But I personally think that this team, if they're a 9.5-point dogs against Texas, I'm probably betting it this week. That's too much because Trinidad Chambliss is the kind of guy that can keep you in a game. Yep. And we don't even know if Texas is going to be that great. We say this shit every year about them, and we'll get to Texas. But I'm very high on Ole Miss, as you can see, and I like their win total over. South Carolina Gamecocks. I'm not going to lie. I did take over 5.5, and I took a little over 6.5. I did split the unit. I had to pay juice on 5.5. I got the plus money on 6.5. So what? I'm not going to lie. I think that Lenora Sellers has to do something this freaking year, man. He's got. I don't like Shane Beamer all that much, but I feel like this team returns a couple receivers. They did okay in the transfer portal too. I feel like this is the sleeper team. You know, nobody's talking about South Carolina. You know, I like to kind of just grab a team, and maybe I should be taking Mississippi State for sleeper, but I think South Carolina's got a hell of an outside shot to do really well to make a playoffs or something like that, and you're going to get a big price on that. But Lenore Sellers is a beast, and if he can just figure it out here in his second year, I like them to go at least 6-7 wins. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I love the hire of Kendall Briles. What a disastrous hire it was of Mike Shula to be OC last year, as he had Lenoris doing all kind of stuff that he wasn't comfortable doing, and he was running for his life because the offensive line was so bad. So they went in the portal. They got 7 linemen, but the stud, Jacarius Peak, a 5-star transfer, who has started – 33 games at NC State the last 3 years. He got injured playing basketball in February, so he missed spring practice. But they think he's going to be ready to go for camp next month. That's a big deal. Hopefully they'll have him back. They got a transfer offensive guard from East Carolina that was second team All AAC. They got a center in Carter Miller, who's started 29 career games the last 3 years at UCF. So they're hoping the O-line is going to be a lot better. The defense was pretty good last year, 22.1 points per game. They bring back 4 of their top 6 tacklers, and they've got a big-time difference maker on special teams in Bakari Swain, who had 3 touchdowns on special teams last year. And they've got Dylan Stewart, one of the best pass rushers in the country. You mentioned the wide receiver, Nick Harbor. He's fantastic and can only be better. He should have a big time breakout year this season. I think Kendall Briles will get the ball out of Sellers' hand a lot earlier, and he's not going to be running for his life every week. I marked them 6-4 with 2 swing games. I've got them losing at Florida, at Oklahoma, Georgia at home, and at Alabama. I went kind of out of order there. I've got the 2 swing games being A&M at home. Huge revenge game for South Carolina. They're blowing the 30-3 halftime lead last year. But A&M's got 2 weeks to prepare, whereas South Carolina plays at Oklahoma the week before. And then I did the other swing game at Arkansas, but I think they'll win that. So I'm a lean to the over with the Gamecocks, and it's plus money at FanDuel. Let's see. It was plus 116 and still plus 116 at FanDuel. I've got them winning at Clemson, by the way, where they, I think, are a 3-point dog at DraftKings, if I'm not mistaken.
My only worry is the offensive line. They got a little injured there. Their offensive line was bad last year, but I love the Kendall Briles, and maybe he can fix it. Maybe they're just discombobulated and should have been in better positions too. That can always happen. And the you mentioned it right there, Kendall Briles. That's the reason I'm kind of high on this team. Very long shot sleeper to make the playoffs at double digits to 1. Tennessee Volunteers here, and Heupel. You feel like he should be in the hot seat. He's winning like 8 games every year, right? It's not like he's doing bad. It's just up to what's their standard. First time they don't play Florida in a while. I was looking at that before I had you on because I know how much you love the Vols.
We don't play LSU either. Yeah, Tennessee's been my bitch for decades.
Bringing in Jim Knowles as DC from Penn State, I think, can help.
Really good hire.
I thought that was a good hire. George McIntyre slated at quarterback after Joey Aguilar graduated. But could this Faison Brandon, this 5-star kid, take over is what I'm wondering. But it's hard to bet on this because we just do not know what you're going to get. I don't think that Joey Aguilar was all that good. I thought he was protected pretty well. He did better than he did his year before at UCLA. But I need to see a quarterback before I judge anything. Yeah,
so the quarterback position's a question mark, so I don't have a strong opinion on Tennessee. I thought Aguilar was a lot better than I thought he would be, and probably a lot of credit should go to Heupel. I think he got a pass from the fan base for last year, pretty much because of the Nico situation, which, it wasn't his fault. It was the defense that struggled badly last year. Now, they had some injuries in the secondary that kind of caused that. So we'll see how they do defensively, but they've got an elite running back in Deshaun Bishop. They've got 3 of their top 4 pass catchers back. Phil Steele's national unit rankings ranked the O-line number 4, the receivers number 7. We don't really know about the QB situation. So, but on that side of the ball, I kind of just trust Heupel I mean, I don't think we thought they were going to average 39.8 points per game last year with Joey Aguilar. And they did. They never should have lost that game against Oklahoma. They just absolutely.
I was on them that day, and I'm like, what the?
It was brutal. They had like 550 yards. Oh, here, actually, I got it right here. I can tell you how many yards of offense. Oh, no, they only had 456, but 351 for Oklahoma. And Oklahoma had that R. Mason Taylor, was that his name? He had that crazy, forced fumble and run.
Oh, there was like a 14-point swing at that, and I had money on it. I was at a buddy's house, pissed off.
Yes, me too. Damn. Pissed. So anyway, I marked them 5-3 with 4 swing games. That being at Georgia Tech, but I think Georgia Tech's gonna be down, so I think they win that. Alabama at home, I think that's a real coin flip. And I marked LSU at home where they're +1.5. That's a pretty legit coin flip. And at Vandy where they're -3. So if they get good quarterback play, I think they'll win at least 8, but I just don't know if they are.
I agree. Texas, number 6 in returning production, 4th on offense, returning 73%, 19th on defense, 10th in the on-3 net transfer portal, 3rd in the transfer portal. Everything looks like a winning year all the time with Texas. But then again, it's Texas. It's Steve Sarkisian, man. I just unimpressed with him. I downgraded him. You know,
100% agree.
This defense has been bad when needed most. The transfer class is great. I mean, it always is. You know, I mean, schedule's okay. They avoid Georgia and Alabama. You know, I mean, I know there's other players now, but you still got to face Ohio State. And losing at home against Ohio State is sure going to kick you in the ass and give you another hard start. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have Texas. I think their win total is impossible to bet because we just don't know what's going to happen with Ohio State. But I do have Texas in my top 6. I have them a smidge under Georgia by a half point. But it is what it is, man. I can't bet on this team, especially laying juice, to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we have some similar thoughts here. I mean, I love the talent, but I mean, like they got so lucky to win at Kentucky and Mississippi State last year. So lucky. They should have lost both of those games. Sark, I just don't really like him as a head coach. But man, the talent is so big time. I mean, Hollywood Smothers and Relief Brown, those are 2 awesome running backs. I mean, they've got 4 guys that are probably going to be drafted in the top 20 in the NFL draft. And you talk about Colin Simmons, Arch, Cam Coleman, and the left tackle, Trevor Gooseby. And then that's not even getting to Ryan Wingo, second-team All-SEC receiver last year. And I mentioned Brown and Smothers at running back, and Emmett Mosley's a solid receiver. And then I love Rasheem Biles, the ball hawk linebacker transfer from Pitt. He's an absolute stud. Bo Masco's a really good cover corner they got from Rutgers. And, you know, you got returning guys, Jelani McDonald, an outstanding safety. Ty Anthony Smith's a really good linebacker. You know, they just got so much talent. I don't even know if Sark can mess this up. I'm a, you know. Is he gonna
be like Ed Orgeron just watching LSU and Joe Brady doing the whole offense and just taking all the fucking credit?
Yeah, it could be a 2019 LSU rewind. Now look, at LSU is going to be tough. They're only favored by 3 there. At A&M's obviously going to be tough, but they just have A&M's number. And Ohio State's going to be obviously tough, and at Tennessee. But I think you want to get Tennessee early when the quarterbacks have, you know, still don't have much experience. I like it over. I mean, I can't surely they win at least 10, and you can get plus 110 at last look on over 9.5. So I'm gonna lean to the over.
I'm at 9 wins. I don't think they beat Ohio State. I think that they also possibly lose to A&M And we'll get
or LSU.
Or LSU. It's away at LSU. It's away at A&M. Home against Ole Miss, but it's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is good. And then you still got the Oklahoma Red River rivalry. There's just too many potential L's.
I hear you. I mean, there's a lot of potential hiccup games. Yeah, I mean, there's single-digit favorites in all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single-digit favorites and a pick 'em against Ohio State. So there's 6 games that could go either way.
Yeah, it's funny. I have the only one I have them as a slight dog in, and an exact pick 'em is Texas A&M exact pick 'em, Ohio State a half-point dog. So I'm pretty close to the market as it is, but if you add up all the percentages I have with the other teams, I still only get 9 wins, so that's the problem. It's Texas. Let's go to College Station, then a couple 100 miles down the road, and look at their situation. You got this big quarterback, Marcel Reed, coming back. You got a lot of money at Texas A&M, which is always great, and A&M does a great job in the transfer portal as well. I like Mike Elko. I think obviously. Last year, I thought they were a little fraudulent. I thought that they played their best game against the best team that they had to play, and that's what got them in the playoffs against Notre Dame. But the truth is I really thought that if they played Vandy like on a neutral, they would lose. I don't know. Texas A&M had that great defense, but number 3 in the on-net transfer portal rankings, 12 and 247. They're number 14th in returning production in itself. The good news is they got an easy SEC schedule. I think that's the big part. They do have to go to Notre Dame, but looking at an SEC schedule, they could be representative in the SEC championship game.
I love Elko. Marcel Reed was pretty good last year. Not so much in the Miami game or the Texas game, the 2 biggest games outside of the Notre Dame game, where he was fantastic in that game. But where was I going to go? I love Mario Craver at wide receiver. You got a really good featured back in Reuben Owens. You got 3 of your top 4 tacklers back. Reed is good, but he can be a little inconsistent. Now, I like betting his rushing yards props overs if they're continue to be in the low mid 30s. I mean, because he could get that on any given play. I've got him 6-2 with 4 swing games. I have them losing at LSU and losing at Alabama, but they could win at Alabama if Alabama's getting erratic quarterback play. I've got the swing games being at Missouri, where I would lean A&M, at South Carolina. That's a tough one. Like I mentioned, A&M's got 2 weeks to prepare, but South Carolina's in its biggest revenge spot you can imagine. And then I've got at Oklahoma, a swing game. Texas at home, a swing game, but I think Texas beats them. I kind of think Oklahoma beats them, but I could see them winning at South Carolina and at Mizzou, but that would have them at 8-4, 8.5 flat minus 110 either way is what I wrote down a while back, and it looks like it's still that. So slight lean to the under, but I doubt I'll play it.
Yeah, I'm at 8.59 wins, so I'm right around that too. Maybe their schedule's a little harder than I just mentioned, but yeah, I think South Carolina could be a loss too. I know they're coming off a bye, which is great, but that doesn't always work for you. They avoid Georgia and Ole Miss. I guess that's what I was looking at. They avoid Ole Miss and Georgia, and those are my top 2. Well, actually, Texas is my top 2. Top 3. 2 of the top 3 SEC teams they avoid. And they get Texas at home. So that kind of helps out a little bit. Vandy. So Diego Pavia was just like, the god of Vanderbilt. They should build him a statue. Just don't include the
so fun.
Don't include.
It was just so fun.
He was fun. I mean, the drama too that came out of that family. Don't include the rest of the family. Just make one of Diego. A little fiery dude. I hope he gets some play in the NFL just to watch him. A little in the preseason. That'd be fun, man. Anyways, losing him was everything in my opinion. Now they got this this Curtis kid that's a freshman. I guess he's a pretty damn high. I guess they stole him from Georgia or something. Yeah. I think they got a guy from Georgia. That doesn't mean I don't know what's I don't know much about that stuff. I mean, was it because Georgia didn't try to buy him back, or was it just because Georgia's kind of like, yeah, you know what, we got a bunch of quarterbacks. I don't know really how good this dude is, but I mean, I had to downgrade Vanderbilt just because
of course
they lost way too much, and Diego Pavia was everything to this team, and I think if athletes have his attitude, they're winning. He's just like, nothing's going to stop me, and nothing did. And I try to tell our kids that, right? But the transfers, I will say the transfers that came in could make this team okay. Clark Lee's got these guys on the up and up. It's not like I'm downgrading them to what they were 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, they're going to be okay. Now, they're obviously not going to be nearly as good without Diego, but why he flipped from Georgia, and he's the highest recruit in program history, a couple things. One, he's a Nashville kid, and two, that city just had Diego magic, and he knew the opportunity was there for him to start as a true freshman, whereas he was going to be sitting behind Gunnar Stockton and have a lot of competition whenever Stockton leaves or in 2027. So, and they gave him $2 million. I don't know how much Georgia was going to give him. So we'll see. He's got a big arm. He's a big kid. The thing that concerns me about him, he played in a private school in a smaller classification. So that concerns me. But look, they had a really good, for Vandy standards, they had a great defense last year. Only gave up 22.8 points per game. And they've got 6 guys back, starters back on that side of the ball. I love their running back room. Cedric Alexander and MK Young are outstanding. They lose Trey Richardson to Louisville. That's a big loss. But Junior Sherrill, outstanding receiver. And look, they lose to Eli Stowers, but Cole Spence is a really good tight end. They ran a lot of 12 personnel and 2 tight ends last year. Spence had a monster game against Auburn. And they got some good guys in the portal for the O-line.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
And I think they're going to be pretty good. I mean, obviously a pretty good downgrade from Diego, but I've got them 3-4 with 5 swing games. 5 swing games being NC State at home, at Auburn, at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, and Tennessee at home. And they can definitely get 3 of those and be a bowl team again. But the over is 5.5, but it is a minus 138 price. If I had to call it, I'd say they go 6-6, but I don't. That wouldn't have me betting over at a minus 138 price.
Yeah, I have 6.01 wins, and you could see even more aggression. I think there's a lot of people that took their under that slammed this number down. It was like 7.5, 6.5. It went all the way down to 5.5, and now you have to pay the juice for the over. I'm not ready for that, but I'm going to keep seeing momentum. If I can get a flat 5.5, I'll take them on the over. I think they make a bowl game, and make no doubts about it. I don't know enough about Jared Curtis, and he doesn't know enough about himself even. We don't know enough. We haven't seen him enough, but I will say that Cole Spence is listed as a returning starter, believe it or not, in Athlon Sports. So he did play enough to earn that in these 2 tight end sets. And Vanderbilt is a force to be reckoned with, which makes the SEC even tougher. That's why it's so funny. The SEC people have a lot of beef when they see an 8-win team and a 9-win team not make the playoffs because their schedule's tough. Well, there's truth to that. Their schedule is tough, But at the same time, that's not. If you're going to have everyone join a super conference, that's what you get. You made your own bed with that shit, dude. We're not going to bring 5 freaking teams to the damn playoffs. I'm against it anyway, but I actually would rather have 8 playoff teams, but that's a whole nother discussion. Anyways, let's let Vanderbilt marinate a little bit and hope for some Diego Pavia action in the NFL. Let's talk a little UFC 329. We got McGregor coming back to fight. I thought the dude was dead or just drunk all the time, making movies and stuff. I watched him in this Roadhouse movie for a little bit, and I was laughing. I was like, man, they make him look taller than he actually is. But he's a badass no matter what. But ever since he hasn't fought since July 10th of 2021, which is a good 5 years. But the truth is, that's not what you should say. What you should say is he hasn't fought over 4 fights from November 16th or November 12th of 2016. So in the last 10 years, he's only had 4 fights, dude. I mean that's it, that is just he's just been out of it too long. I think he's going to come in heavy on purpose. I don't think he's going to give a shit. But at the same time, Max Holloway's still been balling. And what's so funny, that Justin Gaethje loss, or that Justin Gaethje win, makes it even look a hell of a lot better. Look what Justin Gaethje's been freaking doing lately, man. That's your boy. I remember talking to you years ago about how much you love Justin Gaethje, and I've never seen a comeback since he got knocked out in that last second. With how about that? Just meet me in the center of the ring. He lost. But, dude, the way he's come back and just beat Ilya Topuria, that's the real story in the UFC, in my opinion, is Justin freaking Gaethje. What a badass. I'm very proud of that guy, man. That is so fun to watch. I'm glad I didn't bet Ilya in that one because I was riding Ilya for a long time. I'm like, there's something.
Please tell me you bet Gaethje.
I didn't. I didn't bet anything.
Oh, I did.
Well, good for you. I was hoping you did because I was thinking about you. I know how much.
It was more a fanboy thing.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I thought he got a shot, but yeah.
But we're detracting from this fight. Max Holloway. I mean, if you want to look at stats, he's got the significant strikes. He's got everything lined up for him. But I'd feel stupid to not bet the minus 140 Max Holloway inside the distance. And maybe even Max Holloway gets one of those rare chokeouts. He's subbed people twice in his career. I don't see McGregor getting the decision here. And I think Holloway takes him out. I do. And even if I lose this bet, I think I'm looking at it and betting it correctly from a sharper side that this should end within the fact that he hasn't fought in 5 years and only 4 times before that since 2016. It's just too much for Max, and he's been better, in my opinion, at 155 in general.
Yeah, well, they're fighting at 170, though.
Okay. Oh, they're actually fighting at 170. Okay. Well, so he's going to come in.
Max
heavy.
Never fought.
I still think McGregor is going to push it and try to cheat, though. I still think he's going to come in heavier.
Yeah, I was watching his interview yesterday. He does look like he's lost a considerable amount of weight, but we'll see on Friday. Well, look, I think Holloway wins. I mean, McGregor's been doing too much blow and way too much whiskey for many, many years. I am impressed that I thought he was never going to fight again. And he actually definitely looks sober and looks in good shape. So I'm surprised. And, I give McGregor a chance, but he's only got 5 minutes of gas tank probably. I mean, maybe into the second round a little bit. So I'm all for anything Holloway to win by KO inside the distance, even maybe just to bet him straight. But I would wait till. I mean, I normally don't bet minus 200 stuff, but I think the odds are going to come down the day of the fight. And look, here's another thing about betting minus 200 or whatever. If McGregor's going to win, it's going to be in the first round with a power shot. And McGregor is plus 550 to win in round 1. So you can kind of hedge your bet by putting a little bit on McGregor to win in round 1. Because if he doesn't win in round 1, he's not winning. I'd be shocked if he has a gas tank going much beyond round 1. What about you?
So they fought at featherweight in 2013 against each other, and McGregor won in 5 rounds. It went to decision. Right?
Three rounds. 3 rounds.
Oh, was it 3 rounds? All right, I have to double check that. Yeah. You're right. Well, whatever.
It was back in their prelim days. They were on the prelims back then, bro.
Dude, that Chael was the.
That was the Chael Shogun.
Yeah,
card, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I had Chael big that night.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, man. I was just looking back and all this. It's fun to look back at the early days in the UFC here. What's funny, this was just a middle of the road fight too. This was like the 6th fight or something. Herb Dean was the ref. But yeah, it did go 3 rounds here. And Chael kicks.
Yeah, Conor tore his ACL in that fight, so he wrestled the rest of the way because he tore his ACL early in the fight.
Oh, did he? I don't even remember that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He tore his ACL, and so that's why I think that's why it went the distance, because he had to wrestle just to secure victory.
Oh, at the very end. Yeah. Okay. I do remember something. You know, he's been torn up a bit, but my point is, I guess it went past the first round. I think if we get past the first round is where Max Holloway is a lot more live. So I think we kind of both agree on that. I don't think minus 140 is a big price to lay for something like that either. I think it's a good price. So it's all price dependent, obviously. I think every bet should be price dependent. Benoit Saint Denis against Patty, the baddie. We discussed quickly before the show about this one. I'm a little bit worried about Benoit in his 4.19 average takedowns. I know Patty is very good on the ground as well, but can Benoit even take him down? I don't know, but Patty's takedown defense doesn't show well. But I'm not sure if I want Patty on the ground anyway if I'm fighting. You know, I mean, I'm close. I was close to making a Patty bet. I think he's on the comeback here a little bit. His name's a little bit too big. They're both about 5'11", 5'10". Both have a 73-inch reach. You know what's so funny about Benoit? I don't know what he is right now. I can't tell if he's like a fade guy or if he's someone you get on, because I just keep remembering him lose to Dustin Poirier the way he did, and then Carneiro also getting his ass kicked, and then he beats Marcio Ruffy. And that was the impressive one. I'm like, wow, you beat Ruffy? Holy shit, dude. Ruffy's a badass, you know? And then, you know, he took care of Dan Hooker easy enough. But that's what scares me a little bit. And am I anti-lean? I think I'm laying juice with Patty, too, a little bit, right?
No, Benoit Saint Denis is in the minus 140s.
Okay.
Right
okay.
now.
Okay. So,
Patty.
Well, here's the thing. If you like Patty, you probably should bet him quick because he's a big public bettor.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see the odds or the underdog odds going away at some point. I think BSD is better a stand up, but Patty doesn't get knocked out. And I just think as the fight goes on, if BSD doesn't get rid of him, I think it could be a struggle for Pimblett. But I just keep going back and forth. I'm kind of leaning Pimblett right now. Can I give you my quick hit thoughts on the rest of the card? We don't have time to go through all of them.
Yeah. Give me some quick hits thoughts on it, because you know that's all. I just did the top of the card and then the one other fight. I did the Whitaker fight.
Right. I know we differ on this one, but I lean Sandhagen, but he's minus 150 or minus 155. I wouldn't go much higher than that. In fact, I might would put him in a parlay with Holloway. Maybe is what I would do with Sandhagen. No opinion on the flyweight bout with Kavanaugh and Royval. I'm a normally, a Terrence McKinney to win in round one kind of guy, but King Green kind of scares me a little bit. But then I saw McKinney to win by KO was plus 185. I cannot turn that down. I can't turn that down at all. So I will go McKinney to win by KO plus 185, although King Green does scare me. And then I really don't have any strong opinions. I need to study some of these other guys a little harder at the in the lower portions of the card. I wish Cody. Cody's just kind of an auto fade guy these days. Now, if he were to get up to plus 400, maybe I would take a little small wager on him, because he can always still knock somebody out in the first round. But and I'm talking about Garbrandt
against Adrian Yanez. Yeah, I know what you're saying here. I think Garbrandt had a nice little comeback when he switched his gyms, I think it was, and then he kind of faded back into what he really is. We're talking about there's a 3-year difference, but this reach is 65.5 to 70 for Yanez, and Yanez just peppers people. He's 5.96 significant strikes landed per minute, and Garbrandt with 2.79. I don't see much of a path for Garbrandt, really.
Yeah, I don't. He's kind of a fade guy. But if you were to get to plus 400, I would maybe take a flyer on him, just a small change.
I get you. I feel you. That makes sense.
He can win any fight with his hands in the first round, as long as and this guy's going to stand with him, right?
Yeah. Yes, he's going to stand with him.
So then he'll have a chance then.
Yeah, first round knockout. I'd look at a big price, maybe something like that. Once he tires is what you got to, worry about a little bit. Yeah, Yanez doesn't even have no takedowns. He doesn't take you down. He's just going to stand the whole time. So that's pretty good. Now he does. I will say Yanez does allow his face to get painted up a little bit. He does allow 5.24 absorbed strikes per minute, significant strikes per minute. So, definitely Cody Garbrandt in one round. I think it would be the way I would look more at it. But
he's plus 850 to win by KO. And don't we both think that's his only path to victory? Probably.
Yes, that's his only path to victory. But I just still think it's not going to happen. I think that Adrian Yanez wins by KO. Actually, I don't know what the pricing is. Probably sucks. You're probably laying juice for that.
It's even money on Yanez.
Okay.
To win by KO, even money.
Okay, so you kind of think that might go decision. It looks like too. By points. Yanez by KO minus 115 at Yanez by points plus 200. Yanez by sub plus 1,600. So that's interesting. Well, Yanez is not. That's weird because it almost should be looking at the price. I mean, if Yanez is really a minus 435. I think that I'd rather bet a little bit on by KO DQ at minus 115 and bet half that, a little bit less at plus 200. I think you get better blended odds to do that, but you gotta get your bet calculators out for that one. Right. It's funny. I know we disagree on one, and that's the Mario Bautista. I just think Bautista, and I like Sandhagen a lot, and Sandhagen. His takedown defense, 56%. It's not really where I want it to be. He does get up, though. He'll get up and he'll strike. And that's the thing. I think that Sandhagen probably has more power on his punches. Bautista is going to give you more volume on his punches, and he's going to wrestle. So I would say this fight goes to decision. I think that it's not often when you see Sandhagen get finished. So what's the decision price on that? Because if you like Sandhagen, you probably get even a better number by decision.
Sandhagen by decision is plus 180 and Bautista's plus 195.
Okay. So they kind of expect that a little bit. That's funny.
I just think Sandhagen has faced so much quality competition. I mean, he's the only guy that's beaten him in the UFC that wasn't a champ or current champ. The guys he's lost to are Aljo, Dillashaw, Peter Yan, and Merab. And the only other guy that's beaten him is Umar Nurmagomedov, and he's undefeated, right? Or no, he's got the one loss to Merab. He's 20-1. So, I mean, and then he's beaten Figueroa, who was a champ in a different weight class, however. I mean, he's beaten Cheeto. He's beaten Song Yadong. He's beaten a champion in Edgar. He's beaten Marias back when Marias still had a little bit left. So, I got to go Sandhagen there, but probably in a parlay with Holloway.
I know Sandhagen has fought the best of the best, and the truth is I thought he won the Dillashaw fight. I didn't like that split decision going to Dillashaw. I thought he should have went to Sandhagen.
Oh, he undoubtedly won that fight. That fight was during COVID in the Apex. That was such BS.
Yeah, that was total BS. But
he was busting TJ up in that fight.
Yeah. And neither has the greatest victories. I guess you can call Jose Aldo an okay split decision, but the truth is that it's Jose Aldo in his fucking grandpa years, pretty much. In Vinicius Oliveira, he lost. I'm cool with the Umar loss. I think Umar is actually the best in this weight class, in my opinion. I think he just had a stupid fight against Merab. I actually bet Merab.
I didn't see that fight.
I think that needs to happen again, that fight. I mean, here's
John. I don't know if he's going to get it.
I think that this is a real true pick'em, and I just don't want to lay juice. That's the truth.
I heard. No, that's understandable.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's all the time we have, my friend. Thank you so much for breaking down the SEC, giving us a few plays. Real quick, do you have any long shots or anything fun?
How about the Houston Cougars to maybe make the playoff or to or win the Big 12? Let's see, Big 12. I'm getting there right here. They are 17-1 to win the Big 12. I like the Houston Cougars a lot this year, and they get Texas Tech in week 3 when I don't know if Will Hammond will be back in that third string. Well, I was calling him third string because of Sorsby, but Sorsby's gone now. But that guy from Tulsa is not very good. So I think Houston can win that game. It's at Texas Tech, but I'm just thinking it's going to be Kirk Francis at QB. So I love Willie Fritz as a coach. So there's a long shot for you. 17-1 Houston to win the Big 12.
Little Connor Wegman action. He has been better for sure. I don't disagree with you. I was trying to decide between Houston and Arizona. I'm going to bet to win the Big 12 because I think the SEC and the Big 10 push them out of the playoffs. I think you have to win the Big 12 to make the playoffs. So I'd much rather bet to win the Big 12 to get a better number in that situation. So I agree with you. Brian, can you let our listeners know where to get your great information in place?
On Twitter at Vegas B. Edwards. My picks are on Vegas Insider. My content's at Major Wager, and you can listen to me doing videos like this on the Southeastern 16 YouTube channel if you want to subscribe to that. Kiev, enjoyed it as always. Thanks, my man.
Thanks a lot, Brian. Make sure you guys follow Brian at Vegas B. Edwards. All right, to recap our plays, Florida under 7.5, minus 144. But Brian don't like that one so much. Ole Miss over 7.5, minus 140. Ole Miss to win the SEC plus 1,100.5 stars. Probably against Georgia there or Texas. And Alabama under 8.5 wins, minus 104 on FanDuel Sports. If you remember, I also kind of like those Gamecocks, South Carolina, over 5.5 wins at minus 185, over 6.5 at plus 125. Just split the unit in half. Do a little bit of both. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. We're going to be back next week, possibly 2 shows. We'll see. We got NFL, we got college football, a lot to talk about. And in the meantime, enjoy your weekend and go get some winners. If you live outside of Nevada, make sure you go to footballcontest.com so they can enter all of your picks on time for every single football contest in the state that you enter. Use the promo code OB for $50 off all of your proxy fees.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.